Good afternoon. This is the last discussion in for 80 minutes around the globe. My name is Martin Škirš. I am from Latvia, from the Center for Security and Strategic Research, and I will be joined today by Dr. Arjana Upadhyaya from the Jawaharlal Nehru University in New Delhi. She's here sitting right next to me, and through a video we will be joined also by Ambassador Ashok Sajanhar from India as well. And we will start with his video presentation.
So the world is passing through very difficult and uncertain conditions today. We have war and conflict happening in different parts of the globe all around us, whether it's in Middle East, whether it's in Afghanistan or other places. In Africa, we find a number of places where there's conflict. Terrorism has become one of the major challenges that confronts the international community today. It's not only in India, it's also in the developed world, whether it is in Europe, it's in France, Belgium, United States, of course, and other places. Coupled with that, of course, is the economic decline, the stagnation that is afflicting large number of countries, whether it is in the West, it is in Europe, United States, Japan, even China has been seeing a sub 7% growth for the last few years. In these circumstances, India happens to be the one country that is a beacon of light, a beacon of hope, and it is shining bright. It is the world's third largest economy with a GDP of, in purchasing power parity terms, of $8 trillion. It is the world's fastest growing economy at 7.6%. It is the world's largest recipient of foreign direct investment. Last year India received more than $56 billion. It is also the recipient of largest inward remittances from our diaspora, from the Indian diaspora all over the world. Last year it was about $72 billion, notwithstanding the fact that international economy has been facing uncertain headwinds. So under these circumstances, and of course it has many other strengths, it is a democracy, it has India is blessed with a very favorable demographic composition. The demographic dividend that we have at the moment, with more than 65% of its population being below the age of 35 years. So this youth in the coming years will produce more, will earn more, will spend more, and provide a great impetus to the Indian economy. So while we see that there are difficulties and problems all over the world, India, on the other hand, is a stable, secure, rapidly advancing and growing economy. Now coming to relations with, for instance, starting with Europe, both Europe and India are multicultural, multi-ethnic, multi-religious, democratic societies. So there is a natural affinity as far as these two entities are concerned. India is the recipient, the largest bilateral trading partner of India is European Union. The largest investor in actual terms in India is also the European Union. We have been negotiating a bilateral trade and investment agreement for the last 9 years, and we need to conclude that. We need to finish that very quickly. There have been a number of issues that have been stopping progress, whether it is in terms of bringing down import tariffs on automobiles, on vehicular parts, whether it is in terms of import of alcoholic beverages in India. So these are some issues from the European side, and as far as India is concerned, it is the availability of access of its professionals to move temporarily to the European Union for conducting some programs under Mode 4, what is called, of the General Agreement on Trade in Services. So there are these issues that we need to sort out. But now we see that with the impending divorce of Britain from the European Union, with the Brexit vote, we will need to see how that plays out. We will be welcoming the British Prime Minister Theresa May to India on 6th to 8th November next month. So that will be important, that will be useful discussions. Of course, there are a large number of new initiatives, policy initiatives that the government has taken, like Make in India, like Skill India, like Digital India, like Clean India. And in all these, the countries of Europe can, of course, participate very well and very actively. The Prime Minister had visited Germany, he's visited France, he's visited Belgium also. And last November, he went to London, to the United Kingdom. So our relations are strong, our relations are vibrant. But of course, both sides need to give greater attention, and I think the most important task in hand is to focus on the BTIA. When the British Prime Minister comes here in November, of course, discussions on an India-UK bilateral FTA will be held, and I think what we understand, there is much greater prospect of that taking off and moving forward. Of course, one aspect that India also focuses on is improving the ease of doing business in India. And that we have had some forward movement, some success, some progress. And I think that should be attractive as far as the European Union is concerned to come to India. Now with Brexit, of course, we will also see, because Indian companies use Britain, use the United Kingdom as a launch pad for entering into Europe. But if that possibility is not available any longer, then maybe the Indian companies will have to move to countries like either Germany or France or Netherlands or Belgium to be able to get an entry and access to the common European market of 27 nations. As far as the relations with the United States are concerned, they are very vibrant, they are very dynamic, they are progressing very well, whether it is in the area of high technology, it is in the area of green energy, it's in the area of renewable energy, in education, in agriculture, in a wide variety of areas. The discussions and talks are going on extremely well. And this is not only in economic terms, it's not only transactional relationship, but there is also a very big strategic convergence of views as far as India and the United States are concerned. If we take both trade in goods and services, then India and the United States is our largest trading partner. And we can see that the number of dialogues, the new dialogues that have been initiated, like the security and the commercial dialogue, these are all very important, and they are bringing both the countries together. The defense partnership between India and the United States started recently, but already the United States has become the largest supplier of defense equipment to India. With respect to relations with China, bilateral trade is at a significant level. It's at the level of $72 billion approximately over the last few years. It has risen rapidly, But what is a matter of great concern is that there is also a very huge, unsustainable trade deficit that India faces from China. Last year, for instance, in 2015, we had a more than $50 billion trade deficit out of a total two-way trade of about $71 billion, which means that India's exports were barely $11 billion as against our imports of $60 billion plus. So this is quite unsustainable. We have been in discussions. We have been in conversation with China to bring down its non-tariff barriers, to open up its market for Indian products, because it needs to be realized that it is not as if Indian products do not have the requisite quality or they are not competitively priced, because a large number of products, for instance, like pharmaceuticals, like information technology, like agricultural products, those are being exported to some of the most sophisticated markets in the world, including United States, including Europe, including Japan. So there is no way that they should not be able to find entry and find a ready market in China also. So discussions are going on, but one of the ways that has been suggested is that China could invest heavily in India for promoting production, for promoting manufacture of items which can then be exported back to China, and that is one way of going about it. But to look at India's engagement with a large number of other countries over the last 2.5 years since the new government came to power, it has really made foreign policy as an integral element of its domestic economic growth, and this is yielding good results. India's growing, broadening, expanding engagement with partners like Europe, USA, Japan, Russia, and the others, I'm convinced will be a factor of stability, security, and also prosperity, not only for these countries, but also the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador Sajankar, for these insightful comments on India's domestic issues, trade, and foreign policy. And also here in RIG conference over the last 2 days, we've seen Asia, South China Sea, Pakistan pop up occasionally. So RIG conference has gone global. And here with me, I have a professor from Jawaharlal Nehru University, Arjana Upadhyaya, and I have a couple of questions for you and for our audience. So first of all, do you have anything to add on these issues on Indian trade, Indian domestic policies, and so on?
Yeah, first and foremost, I would like to say that India is the largest functioning democracy in the world of 1.3 billion people, has the ambition and aspirations to become a major power. India also has the resources to become one. As of today, 3 Ds define India. The first clearly would be democracy. India is a vibrant, plural, secular democracy. In the last elections, which took place in 2014, close to 816 million voters participated in it. That would be the combined strength of the European Union and America taken together. And mind you, it was only 68% of the population who actually came out to vote. So clearly, voting is considered to be a very, very important activity in India, and that perhaps explains how important democracy is. In that sense, it clearly is the largest organized human activity on planet Earth. Mm-hmm. The second D would be demographics. 50% of India's population is below the age of 25 years, which clearly means when the rest of the world will be aging, including China, Europe, America, India will still have a young, vibrant, youthful population. The third D would be demand. About 267 million people can be categorized as the middle class. This particular class is highly aspirational, very educated, and most importantly, are very well off. They have immense purchasing power. So there is this big demand and market in India. So the 3Ds would ensure that India would secure her rightful place among the community of nations.
And you already mentioned the elections of 2014, which changed political elites in India. So what are some changes that have happened in last years in Indian domestic and even foreign policy?
The most important thing is that the new government of Prime Minister Narendra Modi is very developmental oriented, and he clearly realizes that if India needs to get her rightful place among the international community, growth will have to be the driving engine. As of now, India has managed to, have this consistent growth rate of 7.6%, somewhere between 7.4 and 7.6%. But if this growth rate has to be taken to its logical conclusion, that is creating jobs for the teeming millions, ensuring that the bulk of the population in India are given access to the good quality, to the good things of life, that would clearly mean creating millions and millions of jobs. In that direction, the growth rate has to be sustained anywhere between 8 to 10%, and that too for the next 20 years or so. This clearly is the biggest challenge, and this would mean bringing about drastic economic reforms. That's precisely what he has attempted to do, especially in the area of FDI or direct foreign investment. There are sectors where 100% direct foreign investment has been allowed, particularly in defense, pharma, food processing, and there are other sectors which would see reforms. Besides that, the GST, which is the single taxation system, that bill has been passed. That would create India into a unified market and would simplify the taxation process. So these are the two very big reforms which has been initiated. Simultaneously, he has introduced programs like Make in India. It is a huge initiative taken by the Prime Minister, the idea clearly being to convert India into a huge manufacturing hub. Skill India, Stand Up India, Digital India are some other programs which he has introduced, and these programs clearly have his signature. This is how he wishes the economy to proceed. Now coming to the foreign policy challenges, the biggest challenges are in the neighborhood. Although the Prime Minister's policy has been neighborhood first, but when it comes to Pakistan, his best efforts too have been not very successful, I would say. In the last 2 years, he has gone out of his way to enter into some kind of a dialogue with the Pakistani civilian government. But for some reason or the other, the dialogue process always gets derailed. And one of the most important reason is cross-border terrorism or terrorism sponsored from Pakistani territory. And the most recent was in the month of September, when an unprovoked attack in a military installation resulted in the killing of about 18-19 soldiers. And that really created an outrage throughout India, resulting in surgical strikes undertaken by India inside Pakistani occupied Kashmir, destroying about 8 to 10 militant camps. And here we see a strategic shift in India's foreign policy vis-a-vis Pakistan. Clearly it is about isolating Pakistan diplomatically, taking military means, if necessary, in the form of surgical strikes, something like what Israel does, and most importantly, to somehow build a consensus among the international community about adopting the United Nations Convention on Terrorism, so that at least you have a definition of who a terrorist is. You cannot have good terrorist and bad terrorist. A terrorist is always a terrorist. So this is the challenge from Pakistan. Then of course there is China. China incidentally happens to be India's largest trading partner too. And the relationship which they share is about, cooperation and competition. But one of the major irritants for India is that China's all-weather friendship with Pakistan. And of course there are unresolved border issues, and also the presence of Dalai Lama continues to be an irritant for China. There is another issue of nuclear proliferation from Pakistan having clear Pakistani and Chinese imprint. And this is something which the global community ought to take very, very seriously. Because what is happening in South Asia is not the problem of India or just South Asians. It is a global problem given the fact that Pakistan is the epicenter of terrorism, and non-state actors, if they have access to the nuclear weapons, it can be disastrous for the whole world.
Just a quick follow-up question. So where does India stand between Russia, US and China? What's India's role in the world?
With Russia, India shares a special privileged partnership, a legacy of Soviet times. China is a neighbor. You can't choose your neighbors. You have to learn to live with your neighbors. And regarding US, the US is a natural ally, considering the fact both these two countries are the greatest democracies in modern times.
We had with us via online pre-recorded interview, we had Ambassador Sajanar, and we had Professor Upadhyaya with us. And I think we can all agree that India is trying to modernize its economy, it's trying to open up, and it is going to be a major player in the next decades, one of the power centers in the world in the future. Thank you for joining us, and let's get back to the conference.